Hi, welcome to week three. This week we'll be switching our focuses to interviews and also moving towards audio journalism. We have readings in chapters 11 and 12, which focus on the interview process, and also several additional materials inside of Canvas in this week's modules, in addition to some of the lessons in the lecture portion. So, just a quick, brief overview of interview. What should we pay attention to in interview? Last week, I mentioned that we have a few steps in the interview process, and I'd like you to think about it as a process because it really is the heart of journalism, whether it's print journalism, audio journalism, or video journalism. We use interviews to obtain information about from our subjects to give us credibility. So ultimately, regardless whether it's print journalism, audio journalism, or video journalism, we're using interviews to obtain quotes. Quotes in the sense that in print journalism, we're looking for print quotes, and audio journalism, we're looking for sound bites. That is a audio version of what would be a print quote. And that's the same for television, which we'll get to in video news in the next couple of weeks. So, what is involved in the interview process? Well, it is a process because we start with the preparation phase, the research phase, the question phase, and then the follow-up phase. So think about it as distinctive phases. We want to do our planning and prep, which involves research of the subject matter, making sure that you have adequate knowledge in order to ask good questions. Second, you want to script or prepare your questions ahead of time. Now, you don't have to stick to a script while you're actually interviewing somebody, but they should be a guideline, and we should actively listen. That is the ability to listen and think about a follow-up question. And those don't have to be spontaneous. You should think about follow-up questions as you're scripting out your questions. So you might have 2 or 3 different areas that you might want to focus on in your interview, and that depends whether it's a longer interview or a shorter interview. Obviously, if it's for a minute and 30-second story, then we're hopefully going to boil our interviews down to a few short sound bites. So we go through the interview process, we finish, and immediately we follow up. We follow up by looking at our notes, making sure they're transcribed properly, figuring out if we need to reach out and follow up, if we've missed something, or if we need clarification. Follow-up also occurs during the interview process, where you thank the person and give them the opportunity to discuss anything that maybe they didn't feel like that was covered adequately. So it's no guarantees, but you at least give them the opportunity. So again, think of the interview as a process, starting with planning and research, through the question scripting phase, through the interview itself, and then through the post-interview process. So interviews are integral to all aspects of journalism, whether print, audio, or video. The other thing we're going to start thinking about is audio journalism. What is the difference between print journalism versus audio journalism? Print obviously deals with words, whereas audio, we're dealing with sounds. So we bring a different dimension into it. It's theater of the mind. So as you start to think about your planning for your audio stories, start to think about the spaces that you're going to take your listeners into and how you're going to do that using the tools that you have, whether that's actual sound or whether that's descriptive phrases used to bring people in to paint word pictures. So that's another consideration in audio journalism that is different than either video journalism or print journalism. So just a brief overview of the interview process and a couple things to think about as you're prepping for your audio journalism story. So this week we have 2 main things we're focusing on: our second discussion board, and Friday, your pitches for your audio news story. That's all for this week. We'll see you next week, and as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.